it's one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you can tell the passion the people have for it here, and obviously there's a lot of interest around the club, which is fantastic. I mean, I'm passionate about football, and I love being around people who share that passion, and it's a great privilege, and it's an honour, and I'm enjoying that aspect of it.
You've only been at the club for a little over a month now, and you've also had to do quarantine too. So tell me about the challenges you've had to encounter, particularly in preparing the team for such important matches in a short period of time.
With the current circumstances around sort of COVID, it's just time has been our enemy, just to get things done and bring players in and sort of get people settled. We're constantly racing against the clock, which has been probably the biggest challenge for us. Everything else is as expected. I've been welcomed since I've been here. I've been well supported, and I'm enjoying the daily task of sort of trying to build the club in the way I want to. So it's, as I said, it's probably just time that's been our biggest challenge.
You're all known for your attacking brand of football that you've played across all your clubs, and at some clubs it's taken some time for that to sort of bear fruit, particularly Brisbane and Yokohama. What have you learned from those experiences that you'll implement this time around at Celtic in terms of bringing your style of play to the club?
I won a championship in my second year at both those clubs, so I'm not really sure. I think people paint a narrative about how much time it actually takes, but I don't worry about those things. As you said, there's a certain way I want the team to play, and I do that from the first day I take over, and we build towards that, and wherever I've been, that's ended up being successful, so it's what I'll do here.
What aspects do you feel the team needs to improve on ahead of the start of the season this weekend?
Look, we just have to keep building on what we've been doing. Our performances have been okay. Again, it's no secret we need to reinforce our squad, and we get at least a couple back this weekend, I think, for the first game, which will help us most definitely, because again we're asking a lot of the players at the moment to sort of back up in games, and we just need some more bodies to help us get through this schedule. So having a couple of inclusions I think will help us.
Tom Brodich is a name that Australians love to hear about. Obviously he's had a tough run of injuries over the past few seasons. How do you plan to get the best out of Tom this season?
Well, as you said, the first thing is just to get Tom sort of back fit, and he's gotten to a good sort of position in the last couple of weeks where he's available now and has played a little bit of games. So we all know what Tommy brings to the table. He's a very talented player, and he's had fantastic success here at Celtic, and he's still a young man in terms of age. He's still got his best football in front of him, so it's up to him now. He's got his body right, is to get himself back playing to the football we know he can.
With the matches coming thick and fast, obviously the Scottish Premier League this weekend and the Europa League qualifying next week, is there any plans to bring in any reinforcements? And if so, what positions?
Yeah, no, we're definitely working to bring in more players. We need to, and position-wise, there's a few areas still we need to reinforce. So, as I'm saying, on a daily basis, working towards trying to make that happen, not just from a point of view of reinforcing the team, but also reinforcing the squad, because, as I said, we're really fairly thin in certain areas. So, hopefully over the next couple of weeks we get those players in.
Got a couple of fan questions. This one comes from Twitter users El Capitano Harry and MUFC Petros. What are your goals in your first season at the club?
Same as everywhere else I've been, just to get the team playing the football that I know can make us successful, and that's a process that we've already begun. And if the team plays the kind of football that I know will excite the fans, and the kind of football that I know I can shape in a team, then success follows that. So for me, that's the paramount thing. Get the team playing the football I want, and after that, we'll see where that takes us. But from my personal experience, that usually means that we're successful.
My second fan question comes from Twitter user Josh Bennett. He asks, what's been the biggest difference you've found so far at Celtic compared to the previous teams you've managed?
I guess it's just my nature, but I think all jobs, that I get into, I kind of go through a process where the external stuff, I don't let it sort of penetrate into what I do. So there hasn't been anything that's too much different. I mean, for me, the biggest sort of shift from my last position to here is that, I've got language back as a communicator. In Japan, I kind of had to use an interpreter for everything, and it was hard to sort of establish relationships. I think here, being able to sort of communicate with people, and again having language back as a communication tool has given me sort of a sense of freedom to be able to just connect with people a lot quicker, a lot easier. But everything else, it's football. It's what I love to do, and it's a joy coming in every day and working with the people here, and looking forward to what's ahead.
Sporting News has a Japanese edition, and they're very fond of you. They'd like to know the best parts of your experience in managing Yokohama in Japan.
Again, like everywhere else I've worked, it's the people. I met some fantastic people, both at the club and in the country, and I worked with some fantastic players. Yes, we had success, but I think more importantly, I thought we brought a lot of joy to the supporters and football fans in Japan with the football we played. And for me, the whole experience was really positive, and my whole career, when I reflect on it, as I get older, whilst the kind of the highs are great, it's more about the people you meet along the journey, and I've got established some fantastic relationships wherever I've been, and that includes Japan now, and it's certainly a place I'll go back to regularly and make sure I stay connected with both Yokohama, who are a fantastic club, but the people I met in Japan.
You seem to have developed a shadow in Kevin Muscat. He's followed you into the Victory job, and he's followed you into the Yokohama job. Tell me about your relationship with Kevin, and did you have any part with him getting the Yokohama job at all? Recommendation at all, anything like that?
That's a bit unfair because Kevin was at Victory before I was, so he had a lot of success at Melbourne Victory, and I'm super rapt he got the opportunity at Yokohama. Yokohama asked me for my opinion, and they're really keen on sort of continuing along the same lines. They really enjoyed working with the Australian coaches, not just myself, Peter Klimowski, Arthur Pappas, Sean Ontong, John Hutchinson. All of them have contributed to enhancing the reputation of Australian coaches in Japan, and they were keen to appoint another Australian coach. And from my perspective, Kevin has already demonstrated he can be successful, and he's been prepared to get out of his comfort zone, go to Europe, and test himself against at the highest level. I think this will be another great challenge for him, but I think it's one he's up to, and I'm sure he'll enjoy the experience there, and I'm sure he'll develop his coaching career further.
Have you been following the progress of the Socceroos Olyroos? What are your thoughts on the Australian setup at the moment?
Yeah, look, I haven't too closely. Obviously, I watched a couple of the Olyroos games. They had a fantastic performance against Argentina in the first game. Probably a bit disappointed not to get out of that group after winning the first game. But we're there, and all these tournaments are, I guess, for us a little bit of a yardstick and a measuring stick to how we're tracking, and there's no doubt we still need a lot of work. You just have to measure us against our nearest neighbours, and I've seen the development of Japanese football, which is going along tremendously at the moment. Korean football is improving. You look at Qatar, and there's some nations that are making some major strides. So we've still got to get a foothold in our own region first, and we still need a lot of work to do to maintain just our current standing, let alone improve our standing in the region.
We know that football pales in significance to the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, but I'd be interested to know what it's been like as a manager over the last 18 months in terms of how it's affected your preparation, planning and transfers at both Yokohama and at Celtic.
Yeah, look, it's definitely been challenging and different, but again, when you, as you said, you've always got to keep a perspective of, there's people whose lives have been affected probably permanently through this 18-month period, and in football we've always got to sort of make sure that our own importance doesn't exceed what happens in the general community. I think what it has shown is that football's a great connector with a community, that people see their football clubs as an opportunity to break out of that sort of difficult cycle we're in, and just having fans back in the stadiums and sort of getting them involved with their football clubs again. It just goes to show you that's where football's place in society is. It's not above everything else, but it certainly provides a real connection with its communities to sort of give them light in times of in times of tough, and football's also realised that without fans, there's an emptiness there to what happens. So I think that's been the biggest lesson over the last 18 months, and you kind of hope that the lessons learned is that moving forward that all clubs understand their roles and understand how important fans are to their existence, but also that I think fans will appreciate just what football clubs mean for them in their lives as well.
Thank you so much for your time. Good luck for the season.
Good on you, Kieran. Thanks, mate.